All right, we're doing this is it. This is impromptu. We tried to not do 3 hours, so we still did 3 hours yesterday.
Right. Between the two
So
episodes.
between the
We
two
cut it up.
episodes.
We're like, Rob, we're going to take these 3 hours. We're going to go hour. And
Yeah,
we
so
went hour and a half, something like that.
pretty much, yeah. And then so we didn't have time yesterday to do the deep dive, which is going to be more of like a show and tell, basically, probably every
Yeah,
week.
you were excited. You were out in your travels and discovered some stuff.
Yeah. So I mean, I think the biggest thing that one of our biggest goals here is to be positive, and I feel like over the years, most of YouTube comic book stuff is like all stores are bad, everything's bad. Like it's a lot of stuff that is negative. There's a lot of vitriol around it where the people aren't helpful, they're not bad. So I wanted to kind of share uh, two good comic book experiences I had over a couple hours in the afternoon. So
Part of the problem is people think snark and sarcasm, though once funny, is now so commonplace. It just becomes the actual language of fandom.
right,
You know, no one could just be, hey, I really like this. No, you're like afraid to say stuff. We're not. We've been in
No,
this for years. Well, I'll tell someone how great their garbage is. You know, I
right.
just love that people read comics. You know, it doesn't matter what you read. I will always tell you what's good about that comic.
Well, yeah, and I think that's the thing too. Is like even the even with the movies, my theory is that no one's trying to make a bad movie, and then it's only they might make a bad movie on by accident. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
based on circumstance. But when they try to officially make a bad movie, it doesn't really work. So if there's a bad comic, or there's usually some type of elements. Like we just kind of like all of it. We just kind of like all the stuff. We like the best and the worst golden age. We kind of love the golden age because it's just like everything goes. We have to do you'll have to do like a whole more of like your experience in the golden age stuff.
Oh yeah, that'll be fun.
More about that's gonna be fun. So, but to go into like the new collection that I have, basically I had around 20 plus long boxes, sold 10. Then I took it apart recently where I was putting it in order. So I went
Oh,
through
real quick, at your height, how many long boxes did you have?
before my first house, I probably had, I don't know, maybe probably 25, 30. It was probably a good amount. But even when I was like saving for that house, that was 2003, 2004. I probably got rid of 10, 5, 10, to get, but I put down, I had 7, 8,000 that I made from some of that stuff. So, I mean, it's always, me and Rob always talk about like, this is the only hobby that when things get tight, you can just sell stuff. Like that's what's so funny. Like,
Right.
moving back into here is like, oh, I'll just, I need this money thousands. Now how am I going to do that? Like, oh, I started my job back up, but I'm not going to make these commissions till X. How do I find X? So it's like, oh, this paid these 10 comic
Yeah.
books paid the electric bill this month. Like it's so funny versus like people that play golf. Nothing against people who play golf. I don't think they're watching the show, but
Yeah.
you
If
can't.
you're a collector in general, whether it's comics or people, I know someone's got an incredible alcohol collection, and he can just like, yeah, I'll sell this bottle of
Oh
Jack
yeah,
Daniels for
right.
$1,000. You
Yeah, I have a
know,
buddy like that too who buys all these different limited edition things, and he was like, "You probably think this is dumb," and I'm like, I like all fandom. I like that you have something going on. I don't
yeah,
care what kind of fandom. It's not negative. You're doing it for
yeah,
the
yeah.
bottle, the
Yeah.
tag, the box, the presentation. Even Walt, the way his beers are, the way he catalogs his beers, very fascinating.
Right,
Fascinating
right.
to me.
And
So
also Walt with his T-shirt collection, the
right.
guy buys
He
probably
could
three
turn
to.
and sell that stuff. Yeah.
He can because he wears them once and then you never see him again. I had actually gained weight, and I took the T-shirts from the '90s that I had and sold them. And some of those T-shirts made me $500-600 per shirt. A Sam Keith Glow in Dark Max
Sure.
shirt or a Green Day concert shirt,
Oh,
like
yeah.
a Rob
Right.
Liefeld X Force T-shirt. Like these things were going for incredible money, and I didn't know. I was about
Right.
to give them to my daughters or give them the Goodwill, and I'm like, let me check.
Right.
I mean, I sell comics. Why
Let me
wouldn't
double check.
T-shirts be a
Yeah.
little valuable? And they were ridiculously valuable.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
It's definitely, but now that it's kind of retrimmed, then it's so funny. I just looked for something that I thought I
yeah,
still had and I didn't
I
have,
did sell them like 2021.
Right.
So
Right.
like that might have been the height of people being at home from COVID, where they were just buying everything. They were buying Alf
Yeah, I still think
cards.
they would fetch some. I still think they would be
You know,
fetching some stuff.
I honestly, a lot of them went to California. So it's people who just have that kind of money to spend it.
Right.
Hollywood or Silicon Valley. But
Yeah.
that it's funny to kind of round this up. Like, so having comics is a fun collection. You and I, it's reading first. It's always about reading first.
Yeah.
But like, that's probably why I have so much trouble with digital comics because I just don't. I always wait till they go on sale. Image Comics usually takes like a month. They go down $1.99.
Right.
But like, I feel like they should start off at $1.99 because you can't resell them. There's no resale value of digital comics. You're only buying them to read them.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, there's no component of that. That's why I like the subscription stuff as far as like the DC Marvel stuff, is having that access.
You should, yeah. The Marvel DC pages are phenomenal. I wish Image's page, which used to be really good, used to be able to buy and download stuff right from the Image page. Now it's links to Google Play is where I get a lot of my stuff now. Comixology is unbearable. I'm not a big Kindle guy.
Right.
I don't. So you find your way. The Marvel DC apps are pretty fantastic.
Yeah, I think that's where and
I haven't tried like Omnibus or any of the newer ones that have spun up since then.
I haven't either. Yeah, I'll have to see. I mean, when they did the Comixology Unlimited, but then when they kept changing the format, it just was like it became untenable. And most of that stuff eventually is going. They'll make a deal there, is on Comixology, and then they'll make another some print or post digital deal to Dark Horse to Mad Cave. A lot of them are getting the post digital, exclusivity print copy to that. So Dark Horse, I think, has a lot of those. Which is good. But like, so by recalculate, by re-putting, so now I'm looking at 5, almost 6. So I have almost 6 long boxes, which are now recategorized by artist, alphabetical chronological. So so Art Adams, Norm Brayfogle, and so on and so on. So
I get it. I know how the alphabet works.
Yeah. But then it's literally, but what I did on Saturday morning before I knew I was going to go out shopping probably a little bit later. I went through the books, so then I went on GCD, the Grand Comics database, and then I'm going through and going chronologically by artists and say, oh, I don't know, do I want that in print or do I want that I'm kind of making my big list in my phone, so I just have it, But Brayfogle has been Conan and Brayfogle Batman's. Those were the ones, and so the biggest thing I wanted to find, I found it, and it was $6. It was on sale, half off. So I went to Heroes in Burlington, New Jersey, Mountain Holly Avenue, right on the border of Mountain Holly, Burlington. You said you've never been there?
No.
That's a great shop, and I believe the owner's name is Derek, and he's always super nice. And I'm pretty sure his son works there too. I was reading some of the Google reviews because we always talk when we go in there, but I don't know his name, so I feel bad. But that being said, there was a lot of people in there, and they all wanted different things, which I thought was really cool. Some people were in there just buying but he does have some sports stuff there too. So some people were looking at some sports stuff that he had, not action figures. That was more of like signs for your car and things. But he also had glasses. On Saturday I had that where he has the Toon tumblers, but they're all like $10.99. Where there's my Silver Surfer one, but he had a Deadpool one, $10.99. If you go on eBay, it's all 15. Right. Amazon's 12 or 25. But the Toon tumbler ones, they last forever. So $10.99, no problem. And it was a Deadpool New Mutants 98 pose, and then Deadpool logo on the back. Great. Sold $10.99. Yeah, a section in the front of back issues that were all on sale. I think some of the boxes were 30% off, some are 50% off. He does have dollar boxes, and he had like 30% off the boxes in the back. So I'm trying to just pay $1 for everything or less, because usually when I go up and they know me, they'll just like, how about this? So because it happened a couple times. So this was what I was looking for, because I didn't know about this. So this is a one-shot retroactive Batman, the 90s, and this is from 2001. Do you know that they did these? But this has 2 stories in it. This has a new story at Alan Grant or Brayfogle. And they did someone.
Is that the series where they had like a retroactive for the 60s, one for the 70s, one for the 80s? Yeah, I remember that.
So I didn't know Brayfogle did this, and then the back is a classic Brayfogle one. So really cool. So this was the one that was like on my list that I was going to like, okay, I'm going to search this one out. So that was good, and it's newer coloring and all that stuff, but the story itself kind of lends itself back to the old one. But I mean, the Brayfogle stuff, I might turn my background off so it doesn't, but that's the Brayfogle I want. So this was the one I was looking for. They did have that. Got Anarchies for $1. So got 5 and 6. This was not this I wanted because I have the art book, the Night Gallery.
Yeah.
But I didn't have this. So this is Aparo, Ballant, Blevins, Brayfogle, Vince Gerano, Tom Grummett, Mike Manley, Graham Nolan, and then Joe Rubinstein inks the whole thing. But it's all of them have all the different, it's basically it's a jam cover. Ballant,
that's a really nice cover of all of the designs from the sketchbook, right?
Yeah, so the Night Gallery, right? And then it's so funny because in the middle of it, they literally almost just like show you the sketchbook that you already bought, which is fine. But having like 3 or 4 pages each, and the framing was Aparo. Everyone had at least 4 to 7 pages, so really cool. Basically, it's Ra's al Ghul cloning a bunch of Batmen, and then they all have different costumes and stuff. So I know it's super gimmicky. It's Elseworlds, fine. But I didn't have it. But this was in a box. It was not marked. So I go up and I would have paid cover. This is $6, but he's like $2. I'm like, okay. You know what I mean? So I mean, he knows I'm there for the fandom of it.
Yeah. And he's going to move this stuff. Comic stores like people like you because you take the stuff that just sits.
Yeah. So this is fun. So then I ended up getting, and I sold this set for quite a bit. I had a complete Richard Dragon set of the McDaniel run.
Right.
And I sold, it was like 1 to 12, I think. And that went for like $30. And I'm like, geez, I know I didn't spend more than $1. So now I got to get that back. But this is fun because this issue has like Nightwing in it, so that's really fun.
Oh, that's cool.
Because that's where he kind of like cut his teeth.
Where
Lady Shiva and
where is McDaniel now? Well, once again, we don't do research.
No, but the other night I was looking at something and I looked it up after I got these, and he did some type of book, and it's literally called, and I'll see if I can. It seemed unreadable. It's some independent publisher, and it was like, it literally called something banking. It was literally about banking, and I was looking at it, and he co-wrote it, and I'm like, does he like banking? I don't know, and I'm just like, but it didn't look like superhero. It just didn't look right. It looked colored really bad, and the production on the covers looked bad. So I'm like, well, I'll dig around and see if I can find it. So I got 3, 4, 5. I ended up getting.
I did meet Scott McDaniel once.
Oh, really?
Pittsburgh. I think he's from Pittsburgh area, so he would always do the Pittsburgh Comic Con. You ever hear about the Pittsburgh Comic Con? Like the guy who ran it and started it. Like he murdered his wife.
Oh.
And like went to jail.
Oh, I think Bill told me that. Yeah, I think Bill.
Oh, yeah. Bill's
the says. Yeah,
Bill's the truth sayer. The myth. He's the king of myths about comics.
He knows a lot. He knows a lot.
Yeah, he knows more. He knows more about that stuff than we do.
I almost feel like there was a story that he was supposed to go somewhere, but he was under contract exclusive. Wasn't he supposed to go somewhere with some type of creator-owned thing at some point?
Who?
McDaniel.
McDaniel?
Yeah, I thought at some point he was rumored to go somewhere. And then they were like, no, you're under contract. DC's like, no, you're not going anywhere. We have you under contract for like 2 more years. And then it never surfaced. Because in the creator-owned universe thing, that there was the Dynamite cards or the Dynamic Forces cards, he did not have anything in that, right?
I don't recall. No, he was still.
I don't think so.
I don't think he was big enough yet. In fact, the first thing I think I saw him on was what if Spider-Man had retained the powers of Captain Universe, and he hadn't got his real style down yet. So I didn't really like the issue when it came out. Reading it now, you can see, oh, this is early Scott McDaniel. I can appreciate what he's doing here.
Right. It's kind of weird. They gave him what was it? Sabretooth, Punisher, called Designer Jeans. Remember that?
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
And that was before his style too. So that's pretty rough. That's kind of, and it colored really bad. That was a prestige format one shot.
I feel like that just showed up on the Marvel app.
It did. Yeah, okay. I just saw it. That's what made me think of it.
What's funny is I didn't know about that book in the 90s. I missed it. And like 8 years ago, I come across it. I was like, what's this? A Sabretooth book in the 90s? And I didn't buy it?
Right. Right. I didn't buy the one thing I came by recently, which was the sequel to the Hearts of Darkness. Um, well, actually, I don't even know if it's a sequel per se, but I know it was Ghost Rider and maybe Punisher in it. Maybe it didn't have Wolverine in it, but Lee Weeks did it. I don't know if I think it was either I think it was Mackie again too because it was a Ghost Rider one shot. But it seemed like a sequel to that, and that was one that I don't remember seeing around much, and then I found that recently. So that's like, and one that I didn't know around or was around. Um, just because I had this in singles, and just because I like the format of it, I ended up grabbing a bunch of New Frontiers recently. I
Yeah,
have a good trade of it. I had the oversized hardcover. I sold that,
the
but
absolute version.
yeah, the absolute. But
I
the
had the
one,
absolute version, which I got Darwin Cook to sign, and he drew a little Hal Jordan. And he drew everyone
oh,
Hal Jordan because he loved that. But what made you
right.
mad about the absolute was like within a year later, they put out the New Frontier special.
Yeah,
I'm like,
there is a
oh,
new absolute that I might buy, but the
new, can't
new.
get a time though.
Yeah, right. But they have it. You still have that? You still have your New Frontier,
Yes,
or you
yeah,
sell
yeah.
that? Oh, okay. So I have the trade of it because I think the trade of it's really comfortable, and that's like the newer Black Label tray, which has a bunch of extras in the back. So I don't know if everything's in there from the Absolute, but
Now he wanted that to be square bound, right?
I don't know. I don't know
There was a story.
if
I
I
think
ever
he
knew
wanted to
that.
be square bound, and they're like, "We'll have to charge X amount more," and he's like, "I can't do that to my fans." So that's why it's
Hmm.
kind of like an oversized stapled comic.
It's still $7. So I guess it might have been maybe closer to 8 or 9. Still $6.99.
Yeah, it's not.
You know.
He's not. He was never happy with that.
Yeah. Um.
What it should
Now,
have been, they should have made it look like the annuals. You know, of
yeah,
the time.
that'd been fun
I mean, when did they stop making annuals like that? With the
with the little thicker edge. You mean
yeah, with the thicker edge.
like 91?
I mean, we love that stuff.
Armageddon 2001, like probably right around there.
So nice.
Eclipso. I'm looking at one right now.
Yeah.
This is I got so I have the I ended up swapping them, but I got the Criminal Collections, the deluxe edition because there was new covers on volume 1 and 2. So I sold my 1 and 2.
The Ed Brubaker, Sean Phillips Criminal Collection.
Yeah, so I sold 1 and 2 for like $1.40, and then they had a sale on volume 1 and 2 for like 35 a piece. I'm like, okay, you know what I mean? It was pretty
Yeah,
easy because when
easy.
3 came out, there wasn't like a regular 3 cover, and then the cover that matches the other covers, and the with the binding, the edges. So I had to do that, but I found there was a string of them, so I ended up grabbing like 10 issues of this, like, so I ended up
Okay.
grabbing them because they have these double spread splashes. I wonder if how I can do that maybe on the board downstairs. So I have 3 Hobby Lobby caulk boards downstairs that I rotate wall books basically. I
What kind
like
of boards?
cork boards. What did I say?
Okay.
Caulk boards. What did I say?
Caulk boards?
Caulk boards.
Yeah.
um
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, so I wanted, I don't know, but like all of them have double covers, like, so every one. So this was nice to grab for $1 a piece, and I know this is going to be a new um show on Amazon that I believe,
I can't.
is all.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Yeah, so that should be really, really fun. But all these are really cool. So and I know that there's different back matter that I isn't exactly in. I think these covers are in, these are in there, but I think the essay that goes along with it, this is like a Patton Oswalt essay.
That's
I don't think the
interesting.
essays are in there. So yeah, so and then he also like changes up. So these were like the 2 color, he would do like a 2 or 3 color. So that was in the Lawless storyline, which was really good. Then he went back to doing like heavy painting. So these are just like gorgeous, and to get them for $1, okay, no problem. And this is when they went to volume 2. Volume 2 had more of the painted.
Yeah.
We just talked about the next book. I know it's boring. I think I read it on the DC app, but I got a #1 a couple months ago, and then I'm in the bees, so I got the Brett Booth, Kindred 2 #2.
Kindred 2. Who
Very.
inked Kindred 2? I feel like Sal Regla inked Kindred 1.
This is out regular again, but it's
Okay.
thinner. 1 was very thick. Yeah,
Yes.
this everyone
Are you talking about? You're talking about
is
the ink lines, right? The ink
the ink
lines.
lines. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but like this is really like, and again, everyone, this is a little later. This is after Wildcore, maybe, is that right?
Not positive.
Yeah, I'm not too sure. From the ashes of the international, Operations Rises, the new kindred. So we need more animals things, but yeah, I want to say that he's writing this completely by himself. Maybe that because Sean Ruffner is not writing this. This is Red with completely writing.
Are there dinosaurs in that one?
No, these all look like there's something. You're right. There's some type of reptile thing.
He loves dinosaurs. They're in his like Titans Run. They're in his Nightwing.
Oh,
They're in
that's
Gunslinger
right.
Spawn.
Yeah. I want to say isn't there in the Africa? Didn't they do like a Backlash Africa and Taboo Africa one shot or something like that?
Yes. Yeah.
And I want to say that there's that. So
he really used to make fun of Jim Lee because he said Jim Lee's dinosaurs really sucked in Wolverine Punisher. You know, the crossover from Wolverine started up in Punisher War Journal.
Oh yeah.
And they mocked Jim Lee pretty heavily about those dinosaurs. He's like, "Oh, these aren't right," and they look dumb even for the time, that pre-Jurassic Park time. So I think Jim Lee, in one of the Wildstorm rarities or swimsuit specials or something, Jim Lee had to try to show that he can draw dinosaurs.
Oh my God, that's so goofy.
Jim Lee doesn't like to be tested.
No,
he's really good at like mimicking. Like we always like that. You know, here's me doing Frank Miller. You know, he can do a cool Frank Miller. He can do a good Campbell, but it's like just kind of stick to Jim Lee. Let Campbell do Campbell.
Yeah, that's when I didn't like that. I didn't like them. I didn't like that going backwards.
He filled in 2 issues of Gen 13, like 5 and 6 of the ongoing series, or something like that.
Yeah, we didn't like that. No good.
He showed up at Extreme one day, and he's like, Extreme Studios, hey Rob, Liefeld, look at this. And he goes to draw like Liefeld. And Liefeld's like, you son of a bitch. Like he could clone Liefeld. Like he could do his style. Like,
oh, really? That would be interesting.
You know, Jim Lee's really good at like incorporating other people's styles. Like his Batman has Marshall Rogers and Frank Miller, and he just brings in everything.
Yeah, I can see that.
He loves.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, he's got, I mean, I'm
his X-Men is so much burn. You know?
I want to say it's more burn when he was Uncanny. I think it was a little bit stretched. It was a little bit different once it finally got to the regular ongoing.
Yeah. I think he probably just felt more comfortable because he wasn't
right.
He could finally be Jim Lee. He wasn't trying to become Jim Lee. Mm-hmm. You know, he had so much help from Carl Potts, and you know, he had that Kevin Nolan thing on Punisher for a while, that style. But
right.
By the time he got to X-Men, not Uncanny. It was just straight up his own thing. Mm-hmm. I feel, and then Wildcats was even more his own thing.
And then Divine Right.
That was still a little bit McCampbell.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
He really tried to build that book up too. There were 0 issues and Wizard 1/2s and chromium covers, and they were going on a world tour with that book. It was just bad.
Yeah, it was not very good. Not very good at all. So
when he shows up like delivering pizza wearing one of those stupid Cat in the Hat hats, I'm like, God, Jim Lee, this wasn't cool a year ago.
Yeah, I so forget that, like almost pretty much like straight up. Like I so forget that.
I'm haunted by it. Burned.
John burned. So then so my Bart Sears, so grabbed the first just because they had they had 1 and 2. So I grabbed 1 and 2.
This Ron Mars
pretty
at
cool.
CrossGen did a fantastic job.
Yeah, there's some good Bart Sears action.
The first is kind of like a New Gods type of characters, you know, only done in that Bart Sears style.
The big fat Bart Sears. This is the thick Bart Sears. This is after
Andy Smith
X-Men Man of War. Yep. Yeah. So I wonder if Andy Smith later on like became the artist, because that would happen from time to time because they would rotate when they were doing X-Men Man of War.
Yeah.
It was good too.
Yeah, that was during Valiant Birthquake, right?
Birthquake.
Is that Birthquake?
I think so. I forget.
You know, they had offered. This is where we love our history dive. They had offered the Kubert brothers X-Men Man of War, and the rumor was they offered them $40,000 an issue each, and they turned it down because they didn't want to leave X-Men. So I don't know what Bart Sears and Andy Smith made, but I don't know if they made that much, but they made out pretty good.
Hopefully they made
I did enjoy Birthquake because that was really Valiant trying to become Image. Like here, it's like we're still going to tell good stories, but we're bringing in some good artists. Here's Dan Jurgens on Solar, right? And Brayfogle, was that when Brayfogle took over Bloodshot?
I did find one in one of these piles. I have 1 Bloodshot. He did 5 Bloodshot issues, 5.
Okay.
And then like Claude St. Ubin did a couple of them, but like, so I'll get the ones that he did. So My Brave I want to say that I need like 11 books for my Brave Fogel run. Other than I have like about 50 Brave Fogels.
Yeah.
So I will be able to, basically complete a Brave Fogel run, probably within this year, more than likely. The only
Yeah.
things that'll be tough will be like Metaphysique, the Eclipse 1992 series #2. That's probably going to be impossible.
Why is
So
that?
there's super low print run. The
Just a
first
low print
one,
run, not like
yeah.
anything weird in it.
Nope. Yeah, it's just you're not gonna be able to find, like, I can't find one of Kelly Jones' book like Chrome #2. I have like one, I see 1, 3, and 4 all the time. Can't see #2. I know
Meaning
DeLuca
you can't
has
find
one.
these books for $1.
I'm not paying more than $1. I'll find it.
That's what I
Listen,
mean.
I'm
I'm
47.
sure you
I'll
could go on
find it
eBay.
before I'm 60, 70. I'm
Yeah.
not going to spend. So I looked at, there was a Chrome poster. It was like $19.99, and I must have hearted it because I'd never seen it before. And then the guy's like, "You want it for 14?" I'm like, "No." And then I was like,
we take off 99 cents.
yeah, I was like, "Yeah, I'm good. How about for $1?"
How about at least knock off the shipping?
Yeah, this I grabbed. I don't think I've ever seen this, but this is like, just
What's that?
because it's super heavy. It creator owned heroes, and this is
Yeah.
#1.
Yeah,
It's
I
more
used
of like a magazine, but it had like really cool like Phil Noto art
yeah,
in it.
really
Like
good Phil Noto
really
stuff.
good stuff. So like, I
I
have to turn that background on.
nothing wrong with Phil Noto today, but there was that point in the early 2000s, like he was just so good. What was that book he
Yeah,
did with Jimmy Palmiotti? Is that the character?
that's this. Yeah, Trigger Girl 6. Because I know he sells merch for this
No,
character.
he did a different book
Oh, I
for
don't
Black
know.
Bull. For Black Bull.
For Black Bull, that's right. Yeah. Yeah, but this has like an
Different-
interview. I don't know if there was,
different
I don't
meaning
know
today.
if this is
You hear me?
I don't know what this is. Like this is, I don't know who this is. This is
It's a friend.
yeah. This I thought was
Remember that
running
issue with Tom
into-
Strong, Perfect Tales, where he Phil Noto inked and colored and Art Adams. He at the very least colored it, but he inked a story of Johnny Future by Art Adams. I don't know if he inked it. He definitely
colored it. Yeah, I know he would color that for a while because I thought that was interesting.
He just did that one. He just did that one story, and it was really neat looking.
So this was confusing because I got 2 different body bags, and these were pretty thick. These were,
yes, those are later ones.
Yeah, so these are like $6 or $7 each, and they were $1 again, But this is like the second series #2, and then this is a one shot. This is Body Bags 3 #1. And I know this is in, like, I believe the one Kickstarter they were reprinting this. So this has 1, 2, 3 stories. But I want to say that this seems
Well,
to
the
be
Kickstarter was all new, right? It was a new book.
There was a new one, but they were reprinting this the hard way because I don't think this had a big print run.
Okay.
And then, but this, when I looked at it, this is Father's Day. This is what, I don't know if it's recolored or I don't know what this is. So
I think they redid something, yeah.
But there's no covers in this. There's no original covers in this.
I hate that. You're going to do a trade, put the covers in it. That's one of my issues with Kirkman at the moment.
Yeah, but having like a new cover and everything like that, I was pretty happy with that. Yeah. I know I have issue 1 of this, but and I think that there's only 5 or 6. So I had Doc Frankenstein.
Ooh.
That's the Steve Scroce, Burly Man. Again, really heavy books, right? These are
Burly Man Entertainment was funded or started by the Wachowskis to do their Matrix comics.
Yeah.
Jeff Darrow had taken his Shaolin Cowboy book and printed it, and he had
a lot of words, a lot of Wachowski words there.
Little word heavy.
It's good. That's issue 6.
You can see he's changing his style. He's been definitely working with Jeff Darrow on the Matrix. Definitely made him more detail oriented, a little more organic with some of his art. He used to have kind of sharper lines. If you look at his Marvel stuff,
there's a lot of back matter in this too. There's tons of sketches and stuff. There's a lot of process pieces in.
Yeah. He didn't finish that series. And I think,
I guess not. Yeah.
No, he was supposed to finish it. Let me think. He, I don't know if he was going to Kickstarter or put out a trade. It was something.
Yeah, I can't really tell from this.
He's approachable. 6. You can contact him on eBay or Instagram. He put up a picture on Instagram last week. I guess he's been showing off some commissions. And one of them's of the 3 women from his Alan Moore run of Youngblood, Doc Rocket, Suprema, and Twilight,
Oh yeah. Yeah, yeah,
really
yeah.
nice look.
Yeah, this is crazy. Like the art is nuts in it.
It's,
Like
it's
production is great. And what's funny about this are there 58.9 pages of story in just 42 pages. So I don't know, in 32 pages, 58.9 pages of story in just 32 pages. So I don't know how they came up with that, but yeah, even this, there's a ton of experimentation in it, so that's really fun. This was another thing that like I'm going back and replacing some of my Alan Davis stuff. So I got my clandestine 345, So um I like the series. I always like the series. I thought the series was really fun.
it was. It was really fun. It was good.
I never read the sequel they did in 2005. This was 94,
I don't know if I did read it. I can't tell you if I liked it or
94.
not. Because when you read comics when you're teenagers, it's just easier. And like I read that series, got into all the characters. But then you read the sequel, and I didn't reread the first series.
Yeah, I wonder if this was supposed to be number one, because number one was like a hologrammy type of cover, but it's a double cover on a two, like a that's unusual.
Weird.
So again, same price, 250, glossy. This run, I feel like I've had this run twice, but this is kind of an easy run to find the Larson Defenders run. And then you have we just talked about Ron Friends, but this one's a Ron Friends fill in, which I think it's a Larson layout, Ron Friends pencils, and then Sal Buscema inks potentially. Is that right? That seem right? Let me see if
That
that's
seems
right.
very possible. Yeah, that was a good series. That was a lot of fun. That was Larson. He was just killing it at Marvel at the time. And what's funny is I think he co-wrote that with Kurt Busiek, and he loves Kurt Busiek, and Kurt Busiek loves Eric Larson's Savage Dragon. But working together, they had a hard time. And I feel like I almost could have told them that. Not that they didn't like each other, they just approached comics in two different ways. And it's so obvious to you and me, like, yeah, I've read every Kurt Busiek comic, and I've read every Eric Larson comic, and you guys shouldn't work together.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah. Those sensibilities are not the same. Like Dan Slott and Alred, got it. Makes sense. You know what I mean? Like that. When I heard that, I'm like, okay, yep, that's right.
That's a case of that's a case of like Dan Slott loving Mike Allred. Like here's our plot. You draw it, I'll dialogue it. I just assume that's how they did it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and they both had a very good experience on that Silver Surfer run, which is like, and I'm 30 sure Slott, or something. It's a lot.
Slott is a full script kind of guy. Most writers are today, but like being a fan of Allred, what else would you do? If I ever get a chance to work with like Rob Liefeld, I'm not going to hand that dude a full script. He'll laugh at me, rip it in half. No, you talk a plot through with him, and then he just what he gives you, you work with. Exactly. I feel like Jim Lee might be the same. We had a conversation one time when Jim Lee did Justice League after DC New 52 with Jeff Johns.
Yeah.
I'm like, this doesn't feel great. Plus we weren't really enjoying the idea of the new universe. But when Jim Lee left and Ivan Reyes took over, all of a sudden that book flowed. Like it just felt like a Jeff Johns novel. It felt like you were reading how great he was on Green Lantern, how good of a Flash run he had. Like I think that's what happened. I think he went from plot and scripting with Jim Lee, then the full story. And Jeff Johns is strong enough of a storyteller to give you a full script.
Do you think it's more of a situation where he was intimidated by Jim Lee? Maybe it's his boss.
I don't think so.
You know what I mean? In a way. Well, they were. I guess at that time they were like. That's when they did all the movements. They were like co-publishers or something, right? Wasn't that right?
Yeah, I feel like Jeff Johns wasn't intimidated because he had already worked with Richard Donner. Like, what's Jim Lee compared to Richard Donner?
Right.
I just feel Jim Lee's like, hey, Jeff, here's how I work. We're going to do this Marvel method. And Jeff's like, hey, if I want to do a Justice League book, which has the potential to sell hundreds of thousands of copies with Jim Lee, I'm just going to go with the flow.
Right.
Yeah. Something else that bothers me. Oh, man, we're shitting on Jim Lee today. When Warren Ellis,
that news, you saw the news, right? You saw that news I told you about with the cover, with that 2022 sketch where they're like for that they're boosting Justice League Unlimited by having that sketch available. Yes. Come on, man, that's not cool.
Not cool. I wasn't happy. Remember when Warren Ellis had taken over Stormwatch, and the book had become really good. And right in the middle of the series, like issue 47, Jim Lee's like, I want to draw an issue. And we're like, okay, we'll have Jim Lee draw an issue of Stormwatch written by Warren Ellis.
Oh, yeah.
And what they gave us was just a pinup book. Every page was a pinup, which is fun, except for it didn't go to Warren Ellis' strengths and it didn't flow
Right.
with the story he was telling.
Right.
And looking back on it, I would enjoy it more than probably how I was enjoying it that when I was reading it then in the 90s. It was intense and I was just into it. So when you get a departure in the middle of something, it's rough. I liked it, but it interfered with what the comic was. Looking back on it, I'm sure I'd love it.
Yeah, because that was what Tom Rainey was doing the Change or Die stuff, and
Yes,
like we were
that was
in
right
that.
before. That was right before Change or Die. The next issue was Change or Die.
Right. So there was already some stuff in there, which started in that. Did Ellis did the crossover? Did the Aliens crossover? The in continuity
that was
Stormwatch.
after Stormwatch Volume 2. It was basically his excuse to kind of kill off half Stormwatch. Crossed over with Wildcats, Aliens, Kevin Nolan inks, Chris Sprouse.
It was Wildcats, Aliens, right?
Wildcats, Aliens.
That's right.
But used to kill off Stormwatch.
Right.
And
Stormwatch
then
Volume 2 was who? Oscar Jimenez started that?
Started with Oscar Jimenez, right. And then you got Brian Hitch halfway through.
Right.
Hitch was really fast at first because he would even fill in on Wildcats while doing Stormwatch. And then they launched Authority together.
Yeah. I want to say at that time, if I remember right, there was a couple of things where he was like almost like he was doing the work and he almost had some of the same poses in the same books. I think the one issue Wildcats, and it was like it was basically like almost like a Trinity from the Matrix, like just standing there and like
it was know what I mean? Black leather outfit.
right. That's fine. So let's see. I'm going to see if you know who this. Well, you probably know this. Who is this character? Who is this?
Is that random?
It's random. First appearance of Random. How many total issues of Casada do you think that there was in this time?
Good question.
12, 15 maybe.
Oh, X Factor?
Yeah, probably not even 10.
7 or 8, yeah.
Yeah.
Fill-ins, you had Terry Schumacher coming in, yeah. It was so good, wasn't it?
Yeah. And it's good. And you know what? Like, see, I've never. Oh, you know what? He didn't do the whole. He did only a quarter of it. In the back is there's our guy Chris Batista in the back. There we go.
Look at that.
That's early Chris Batista. That's before his new. This is the year. This is probably right around the Steel time, maybe. No, I don't know.
So real quick, the Casada timeline is what? X Factor, some Batman covers, then Ninjak, then Ash. Did he do anything in between? I mean, before X Factor was obviously the Ray miniseries and Azrael.
Mm-hmm. Sort of Azrael. Yeah, sort of Azrael.
The cat from Smurfs.
And then Batman, and then he came. I thought he was already on that stuff, and then came over to X Factor.
No,
X Factor. Manowar.
That's right. We did get that. Incredible. What was that?
X Factor's 93, and then after X Factor,
but they broke the back. When did they break his back? In 93 as well, right? Superman died in 92.
Right. Yeah. So Batman is 93. So he went he did design work for that. He did sort of Azrael, which put Azrael.
Yeah, right. He did that stuff first.
And then he did the design of Batman. And I'm going to get that Batman cover. I think I'm going to get that poster. I'm going to get that big, dumb, new Casada, to Joe Casada, like Asbat's costume.
I think
not printed anywhere. It's not printed any. It's just a big. It's a.
I think the cover they actually print it. Todd DeZago made like a 3-dimensional, like image out of that, probably like a piece of art
diorama.
Yeah, like a diorama. Yeah.
Wow.
I got it. Yeah, he was talking about it. Todd DeZago, super nice writer. Yeah, yes. I love Exo Manowar Zero. That's all Casada.
Right.
That's
so that's
beautiful.
That's ridiculous. And then he did 3 issues.
And Bloodshot Zero, they just do the cover, and you're like, boo. I forget who drew it. I don't want to shut up. If it's Don Perlin or somebody, I don't remember who drew it.
Yeah, I don't know. All that was bad. So I had 1 to 8 for a long time. I know I had 1 to 8, but I was missing 9. I missed X-Force 9 somehow. I don't know where I had
last issue.
Yeah, I don't know why, but it's a perfect copy. Perfect $1.
Yeah. Look at that.
Less than cover price. It's perfect. It's a perfect copy, and has one of my favorite. Oh, and then the Mark Pacella backup. Yeah, I got that Mark Pacella going.
I really liked Mark Pacella back then. He's actually a really talented artist. People shit on him back then, but like there was something ugly about his style that I liked.
I wonder who called. Well, it's weird. It says Liefeld, Panosian, Pacella, Nisi as a sharp. So that's all kinds of mess up because Liefeld probably well, unless it
Plot.
went
Liefeld plots. DC has the
yeah,
scripts.
right. But it says
Sella
Liefeld,
pencils.
Panosian, and then Panosian inks. But it's like it's just backwards, and then Dave Sharp for letters, but there's no
No color
colors.
listed.
But I want to say that's like a Brad Mancata coloring, like that type of red, having that much red in it. I think that's probably right.
Who drew the rest of the issue? Or who colored the rest of the issue?
Steve Bucoletto.
That doesn't match.
No. So I think he doesn't have the red. Ain't got the redness down.
What do you want me to say?
I always hated this ad. The stupid ad.
Which one?
This one.
I can't see. There we go. Yeah. Right. Yep. Get your baseball cards out of my comics.
No good. I think we even talked about this yesterday. So then this is, I have a bunch of Capullos, but this is towards the end of the Capullo run, but this is when introducing the inking of Richard Bennett.
Yeah.
Which is almost like, in a weird way, almost finishes. It's almost like over-rendered. It's like,
you know what's funny?
A little something.
Is it you think it's finishes, or is he just super inking? There's a big difference.
Yeah.
He was detailed, man.
Yeah.
And that's why Jim Lee scooped him up.
He did what for that? He did brass?
Brass. Yeah. And he inked Jim Lee. He inked Jim Lee on
Wildcats.
What did he ink him on?
Wildcats? Wasn't he on later?
Did he ink him on the Dragon issue during Image X month?
Yeah.
Dragon
Sounds right.
Demon Seed. That was the villain of that issue. Just a giant annihilist looking dude. Never to be seen again. I don't know why DC didn't put that issue of Dragon in the Wildcats Absolute. Because Larson, the Image X deal is, we all have rights to those characters. We can each republish, we can reprint our own books whenever you want to. Okay. Everyone's deal, and Larson's deal with Jim Lee is we can just even now you're sold at DC, you can still print that Dragon issue. And even though Wildcats is owned by DC, I can put the Wildcats in my Dragon reprint. Which he did. He actually made in the new trades that he's put out. He actually takes he hated the fact that Jim Lee did Dragon 13 so much. He went back and did his own Dragon.
He did 13. Yeah.
So he took that Wildcats 14 that he drew and that Dragon 13 and made one super comic out of it.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And that's what's in the new Dragon hardcovers and the old Dragon trades.
So when he did Dragon 13, he used pages from his Wildcats issue, or a bit of both.
He used a couple pages, but then the rest of it was new. But then he just redrew some pages from different angles, made it more Dragon-like. So when he collected it, he merged the two comics together.
Okay. That's fine.
But by that what I mean is Jim Lee had the rights to reprint his Dragon Grifter. It was basically an issue of Grifter. They could have put that in a Wildcats Absolute because you already have Youngblood in it from the crossover Wildcats, and you have in it. So I don't know why you didn't put that issue in. It's a Jim Lee, Richard Bennett comic.
Yeah, I guess I got to look at the Disney. I don't like the way that the DC app has the early image stuff in there because they have a weird logo thing. They put DC in it. It's like a weird corner. There's no date. There's no month. It just looks rough. It doesn't look right. And it's it's just a straight DC.
They should put something bigger there that fills the whole space rather than leave the space more empty and kind of Photoshop the background further
something in it. It's no good. So this book I always wanted.
They did it to the Blue Beetle comic that Modern Comics put out. They just
that's right. Yeah.
Did the same thing.
Right. Yeah. Which the Modern Comics, what's so funny is the Modern Comics reprints hold value because they're exactly the same.
Right.
Like they're even to some of them had letters page. They're exactly the same as the original Charlton's because Charlton is notoriously cheap. This book I've never had. This was I think I mentioned this before. This is X-Cons versus X-Farce.
I did not have that as a kid. For some reason I missed it.
With cards. I think I mentioned this. Omega Bread.
Omega Bread, dude.
Omega Bread. And this is all Bill Maws, and it looks funny. It's clean.
The best parody press comics are the Bill Maws ones.
Oh my
Bill
God.
Mouse.
Bill Mouse. Yeah,
His
so it
daughter.
has
His daughter's name is Cat, so it's Cat Mouse. Who,
Dumb.
by the way, really good artist. They actually
It's
work
great.
together.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. The
I'll, I'll,
unfunny.
I'll, I'll send you some stuff. Remind me.
Yeah, that's Tangerine. As Wolverine is Tangerine.
And like Don Chin, like sometimes he'd have a good joke, but I just don't feel like he was that funny. But I feel like the stuff that Bill Mouse wrote was end up being funnier. Don Chin, creator of the adolescent radioactive black belt hamsters.
Yeah, this is pretty clean too. Yeah, this is it. Yeah, Don Chin did production and computer graphics. But yeah, Bill Mouse, writer, pencil artist, Wayne Foucher,
Wayne
they
Foucher.
and as inks, yeah, clean,
Yeah.
just tight. Yeah, it was really tight. So this is fun.
Well,
That's fun for a
nobody's
dollar.
nobody has tighter inks than Wayne Foucher. Like his thin lines he put on Ramos or did Foucher stick around for no, Foucher left when Craig Rousseau took over Impulse.
Yeah. Right.
Which is weird because
Because
they're like
Foucher was
buddies now.
Ramos's guy. Yeah, but Ramos eventually had. I'm trying to think who did Ramos when he went to Marvel.
Sandra Hope did Crimson, right?
Yeah, yeah. I'm just trying to think who did it for when he did Wolverine, the Wolverine Civil War stuff. I don't remember.
It was good looking though. It's good looking stuff.
What did he relaunch? Peter Parker, Spectacular Spider-Man? Didn't he
Yeah.
relaunch one of them?
Yeah, Peter Parker, Spectacular Spider-Man.
But
right.
that was the second half of the Paul Jenkins. It was Paul Jenkins, and
Ooh.
then it was like after.
Yeah, and it
We
lost
also didn't
something.
even like it. We didn't like it. Yeah, because I think we liked. I think the Buckingham stuff. The stories were real personal,
There they are.
and then this was a very like commercial book, and we were
It's
like,
like,
I don't like this as
and
much.
like, hey, we like what you're doing with Peter Parker, Spider-Man. Well, we're just going to change it. We're going to bring Venom into it because Ramos is a great artist. Here's Venom.
Yeah, so this is the end of the pile, but he had some sets. He has good sets there. So there's a Comet Man set. Comet Man, Bill Sienkiewicz covers 1 to 6, and this is all is Kelly Jones. But what's funny is I sold this for $22, I want to say.
Yeah.
And then he had it for 12, $2 an issue, but then it was some percent off, so it was like 9. So okay, that's fine. So again, but about that store, I asked them about they had no absolute Batman, no absolute Wonder Woman, and I said, how many did you get? And sometimes the owners are like, I got a good amount. They won't tell you. When I was in Captain Blue Hen at Newark, Delaware, I was trying to kind of talk to them and try to find out their number. Same thing with E&E Comics, which and their sister store, the comic book shop in Wilmington, Delaware. But he wouldn't tell me either. Those guys, they didn't tell me. I wanted to know. I'm just curious.
Yeah.
Just see if it's 100. I don't know what they're supposed to be. So I asked.
Yeah, you don't know. What would our store have ordered? Our store in the 90s.
300, 400, 500. I don't know. I mean, it's I probably 200. I don't know.
You definitely could have sold 200, but it also depends on what the variant covers incentives would have been to push you.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't really a thing. Like that wasn't really a thing. There might have been a 1 in 10 or something. I'm not really sure. Not the way it is now.
It is. Interesting.
But I asked them, and
we moved 100 Youngbloods when Alan Moore and Steve Scrooge took over.
Right. Yeah, I mean that's what I mean is when and I don't remember. I want to say that the Starmans went up to like 50 something, and it was kind of a solid 50 to 75, and that shouldn't be. That should be 8 to 10. Like that should be like that. But I asked him, and he says, "Yeah, I got about 100." He says, "I got 150," and we had him for about a week, which is actually pretty long. He's like, but that was a good amount for us. I ordered more second prints, but I figured I would have more first prints. So now the second prints are gone. Second prints are probably going to be worth more than the first prints. Like the way that there's a couple exclusive second print covers that I think are actually a little better. There's one with him on the motorcycle at the end.
Right.
That cover's pretty great. And then I asked him about Wonder Woman. I want to say, I think he said about 100. He said that only went a couple days. So that sold faster than expected. And I said, well, he's like, it's the most Wonder Woman I ever sold. And I said, what do you get on your regular Wonder Woman? Like 10, 20? He says like 30. So Tom King is 30 for that shop. It's not bad.
No.
And I asked him about, I was like, what are you doing for, because I saw it in the news and we talked about it. And I said, what are you doing for G.I. Joe? He's like, I don't know. I'm not sure. He says, but Energon for my shop is ridiculous. And I was telling you, it was pretty tempting because he had like, I want to say the first one is up to 9th printing #1. And the cover of that was pretty good. Like I'm looking, but he had
Yeah,
he had a great rack of just a great rack. He had
he
a great
does.
rack of
Huge tracts of land.
of of all the Energon stuff, like just a really good display. He says all the minis do great for him. You know, every the Transformers does great for him. So, but just definitely fun to have like that engagement with him about like some sales. And again, I really love that people are in there for all different stuff. I'm in there for certain things. And I when I go up, I mean, I think that's why
Got to be diversified in your store, man. You
I'm
gotta.
a very good shopper, right? So I come up, I stack things. I'm like, these are all dollar, and I stack them by 10,
Uh,
and then he checks them, and then I'm like, well, this is not priced, but this is this, and so I'm all separated and stuff. And I feel like that's why everyone kind of just gives me deals, like, yeah, that's $1, $2, whatever,
and you look poor. That really helps.
I always go in looking disheveled and
They
poor.
see your car and they're like, oh, this guy.
Yeah, yeah, no good. So that's it. So that again, really fun, really good, nice stack. I want to say this was probably like 50, maybe, not even. It's a really good, but again, I just love that there was I think two workers were there doing stuff, and then Derek, I believe, is the owner. We always have the conversation. Oh, so this is what I was saying. So since when we went to Baltimore, this one dealer from North Carolina, I wish I could plug them because they had great dollar books. And then when I had conversation with them, they just gave me like I think 70 cents on. But that's where I got my like Conan from 50 to like 120 almost complete. Nice copies, most of them either direct or if the newsstand just clean. It was someone's collection, hands down.
You
And
see
I
Liam
was
Sharp
like,
post an
oh,
image today or yesterday on Twitter, and it was like gorgeous. Like
of his Conan.
Yeah, something from Conan.
Yeah. Well, he's working on that now. He's
Yeah.
working on his issue of Savage Sword, which should be out in 2 months, I want to say. Um, but I asked him, I said, man, where's all the Conan? And he said, so, two guys. Well, one guy got all the regular Conans and just cleaned me out. Another guy got all the Savage Sword. Again, 2 years ago, you could pretty much almost get an entire Conan run. And I wasn't going to do this, but I like the new Conan book so much, it kind of got me going. He's like, this new Conan book's got, and he says that, and I'm getting all different people in, which is the same thing that Jim Zub said too. All
Yeah.
these other people are coming out of the woodwork and say, "Oh, I love that movie," or "I like this," and the continuity. He said that book's killer for him too. So that book sells a ton.
Like, I really enjoyed what Marvel did with them a couple of years ago. Is it just that much better?
Yeah, it's better on every level. It's better on every level. Just the product. You can tell every single person really cares about it. And Villarubia had colored some, but he pretty much is teaching full time in Maryland. Like that,
Right.
he's teaching full time. But
Another
he
super nice guy.
super nice guy last year, Baltimore. Me and Walt, I think Walt came in and sat in. He had a coloring
On
and
the
a
panel
reconstruction on
at
the
Baltimore
panel,
Comic Con.
and he did a Q&A, and it was pretty much me and two other guys just asking all the questions. I asked questions every. That was like,
Yeah, that's
but
who we are.
yeah. But
Just
it was
like
great. But and even afterwards, he came up to me. He's like, "Hey, thanks for asking those good questions." Which is also super. That's like, oh, cool. Like I wasn't bothering you. You know what I mean? Because we kind of feel like we get nervous, you know what I mean? But
we
Jose
do.
Villarubia may be one of the nicest people on earth.
I
Like
I ran into him
so nice.
after the panel and just
Mhm.
Bennett's here. We just talked for like 20, 30 minutes, mostly about Alan Moore. Like he loves Alan
Mhm.
Moore on
Yeah.
a level that's like above mine. It
Well,
was
he
fun.
did.
We are those people that ask questions. And I went to an Image United panel down at Baltimore when Image United was coming out, and it was Rob Liefeld, Kirkman, Portaccio, Silvestri, and all of a sudden people like Portaccio spoke a lot. Like he was very impassioned about it, and he had his character Fortress in Image United, and he had two miniseries planned, and he was already working on the first miniseries for when the series was going to end. So the questions kind of stopped. There's a lot of shy people there, and Kirkman goes to me. He goes, "What are you doing? You always have questions. You should be asking more questions."
We're famous. We're
We're
famous for
famous for
being
like,
like extra panelists. We're like the
yeah,
extra, like we're the extra moderator basically. Well, I have a recording, and I should put a special edition of it. But I have a recording of this New Jersey, like North Jersey Comic Con. I don't think they even They had 2 shows ever. And I don't think they went out of business. I'm not even sure if they do any shows anymore. But it was a Robinson. They were supposed to have a moderator. There was not a moderator, and there was 2 of us. There was 2 people in the front row. It was me and this other guy. We asked pretty much all the questions. They just kind of answered. And so I have a 40-minute, like I just put my phone out. I'm just like, I don't know if audio quality is that good, but it should be good enough. But I'd be curious. And he didn't really remember because why I asked, I guess it was that's Tony Harris's wife. That was when we were there in Baltimore talking. Tony was talking to a ton of people,
Yes.
so we did. I don't think we had any one-on-one time with him, but I was curious. I was like, well, there is still an unannounced Starman book that's happening. Don't know when. It's not on the schedule through. Now we have January. Solicits is still not there.
Yeah.
I mean, he's still working on it. I mean, it's fine. I'll put it all in the can. No problem. But the cover of that #1 was just ridiculous.
So good.
Yeah. So
good.
but I want to know if like the story, because they told the story what they wanted to do, but it has to be that because it's like, yeah, then we go to the Orient, and on the front cover is like this like little like stereotypical like Chinese like ancient man in the bottom, and I'm like,
Yes,
yeah, that's it. They're doing it. So like I actually have the plot on an audio.
Is it set during the course of the? See, we don't know. Is it set during the course of the book? Is it set before he gives Stargirl the staff? Right, unless he, like, I just, us. I want it to be set in continuity. I want it to count. I want it to mean something.
I think it probably will. I think that's. I don't think he knows how to not do it in continuity. I think with Robinson, I think because even Golden Age was Elseworlds, right? Technically,
it was started off Elseworlds, and then DC made it continuity, and then
it just became a continuity when JSA was going on. So, yeah, so really funny. But then, so the second one I went to, I was in Burlington, Mount Holly, and then I shot over to Hainesport, and I went to Ron's Comic World, which, again, that store probably survived some of the pandemic stuff because they had Magic tournaments. So they were running with masks. They were doing something. I think that store survived from that.
Okay.
Of course, Ron was there. He was outside smoking when I pulled up. He pretty much is on his laptop in the back. He doesn't really talk that much. That's okay, but they have a newer comic guy. I wish I got his name because he was so nice. I'm going through some of the books in the front. He's like, you want me to hold them? Like, he's like, oh, there's more over here. Like he just was making sure. He's like, and someone else was talking to him, and he's like, oh, I'm the comic guy. Someone was trying to talk magic with him. He's like, that's the magic guy. And then that guy is always super nice when I'm there. Nice blonde-haired kid, and he's always super, super nice too. So it was just like a very good, friendly atmosphere. And in that store, I don't know if it's a Spotify channel or whatever. It's just nothing but like, it's like nothing but 90s. It's like Blink 182, Pearl Jam. It's like, it's right. Cool. And I'm like, all right, I'm in it. So I was there and they had, I want to say long boxes. They had, I would say probably 11. And my OCD, I have to go through every single one.
Yeah, you can't stop.
But the last time I was there, I would say, 8 months ago, they had a ton of Savage Sword of Conan. Guess what? 0.
Must be the same dude.
0. Same. Yeah. The only thing they did have, and this is what got me on a little bit of a tear, is they had Conan the Savage #4, which has Rune in it. And I don't even know if I knew this was a thing. And then when I looked inside of it, I think I showed this to you. So then it has, in the front, so this cover is, I want to say it's an Therese Nielsen cover. Who is this? Vince Evans, but it looks like that Ariel Olivetti, like Therese Nielsen type of situation.
Yeah.
The frontispiece cover, or frontispiece inside cover, Larry Stroman. Okay.
Really neat looking.
Really cool. Maybe that's, I don't know if they had red. I think they did have Red Sonja at this time. But, and again, I believe I think I do have a section because this person, which is, it's Enrique Alcatina, and this person inked, if you remember, Spider. Do you remember the Tim Truman Spider pulp book that he did for Eclipse or whatever, or maybe Tundra? I'm not sure. The 2 miniseries. In the first series, this guy inked him, and then the second series he drew it and inked it. So it was a little less Truman-y, a little more of this. But this guy did a couple issues, and I have some of these. But look, there's like a weird, like insane, like Cinnabite stuff. So I'm like, okay, so I was all in. This is $1, right? So, and then, but this overall, this guy I love, and he has done a good amount of stuff for DC. He did the 2 pirate books. There was a Robin Elseworlds pirate one where he's on the cover. That's him too. Same thing, Chuck Dixon. So I think he only ever worked exclusively with Chuck Dixon. I don't think he's done anything else. And then the Batman Pirate one too. And then there was one or two other ones. I have
Who wrote that?
5. Chuck Dixon always works with him. So that's
I mean,
Chuck
that
Dixon.
book there, that Conan's
Mhm.
Chuck Dixon. Okay.
Yep. Yeah, and I want to say that the story is complete. I want to say it's everything. Yeah.
Chuck
Oh, it's
Dixon, that was the first comics celebrity you had in our store, right? He was the first signing you had.
yeah,
Legends.
yeah. Him and Flynn Henry did the Man Bat #1.
That was a neat looking book. Flint Henry had a cool style.
They only could do like a
be-
Wednesday though, and it
Not to
wasn't.
be confused with Henry Flint of
That's right.
UK.
Yeah, Flynn Henry did Law Dog. Does that sound right? It was a heavy hitters
Yeah.
book or something
Yeah.
like that. Yeah, but in the back is a Mike Doherty, and he did a good amount of Conan, Savage Sword of Conan. And then Rudy Nebris, South Jersey native Rudy Nebris, Inks and Tones.
Of the phenomenal Philippine artist of the 70s. Like, just that guy's incredible. I
Yeah,
never
to
got
which
something from him.
no,
should've.
he had a huge line. There's one that's like in Paramus, they do it in this like rec center. Last time I was there, Larry Sherman canceled. He was supposed to be there. Larry Sherman he canceled. But Rudy had this giant line, and yeah, there's a lot. He's done a ton. He did a lot of finishing for
He would
Savage Sword.
always show up at Dark Boywood shows back in the 90s and 2000s.
That's
over
right.
in Philly.
Yeah.
But he had done a couple of cross-gen chronicles. They did a quarterly book that George Perez drew the first couple, and they're gorgeous. They're gorgeous George Perez comics. And then he did a couple too. I think Claudio Castellini did some as well.
He did #1. I did my Claudio Castellini. I'll have a complete Claudio Castellini. Besides covers and stuff, he did the covers for Fantastic Four Unlimited. But
you gotta get those posters, dude.
I have those posters are very expensive. They're ridiculous. They're so expensive.
I sold mine years ago.
Yeah, they're so expensive. But he did Dangerous Artifacts, which is Chris Wilson's favorite Silver Surfer story. He loves that book like beyond belief, which I don't know why that's not. Again,
Chris Wilson is a friend of ours who's also a Joe Kubert School graduate.
Yeah,
but he's another. But I got him in at UPS. So he's another UPS driver.
Yeah. I ran into him at Taco Bell when he was done working. We ate Taco Bell together. And
I get all my friends.
Really fun.
I get all my friends jobs at UPS.
That's right.
Except you.
Except me. I'm in the math. My hands they're too
gentle.
They're too gentle.
They're too soft. I shook Eric Larson's hand in New York, and he's like, Jesus Christ, it's like a baseball mitt. Like, is it? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't want to hurt Eric Larson's hands. Like, God forbid. Like, Dragon's not coming out this month because Rob shook my hand too hard.
Shook his hand. Yeah, but the 2 books and I the last
look, like big, strong hands.
Yeah, the thing is that I'm not sure what that is.
Never ending story. That's where
the yeah.
Put it all up
Rockman.
Yeah.
Rockman. Oh my God. That's this has been a weird week because we did Never Ending Story, I think, on the last show. Yeah. And I was about to mention the Jack Kirby book, the Jack Kirby Silver Surfer book. It's not out. The Dangerous Artifacts was only a 1-shot. Could very easily be a gallery edition.
There was a comic adaptation of Never Ending Story, right?
Yeah. Oh, I want to say it's like almost a Brett Blevins or something like that.
I feel like yeah.
That seems to be about right. But it's funny that so I'm looking for Conan like crazy. Ron's Comic World 0 Conan.
I think
0
is Labyrinth, right?
0. Yes. To which I want to say whoever has Labyrinth now did replica editions of those individual issues. And they did something a little better with the cropping of the IDW. They did something better with the corner box. It was better than the DC app, yes. So Rune kind of got Rune's in my background here, which is a Barry Windsor Smith.
Yes.
Conan meets vampire, basically. But I have a Barry Windsor Smith run, which is relatively easy to get. 0 is kind of hard to find. 0, which is actually in right there, because 0, if you remember, 0 was reprinting all the issues. So there was maybe 6 or maybe more. It might have been 10. Where they had 2 pages of a Rune comic and like all these, and then they had a piece of the page
throughout the Malibu universe, the Ultraverse. I remember that.
And then if you got all of them and you could lay them out, it was like the cover, which might have been that cover. I'm not sure. I don't remember. But you like so you would look, you'd flip over like, what is this? Because you couldn't see it. It would just be like a piece of the cover, you know.
Yeah.
So no good. But after he left, we think Mark Vasella did a couple, and then pretty much through, I don't know. I have, let me see here. I have about 6 or 7. But it gets canceled, and then it goes to Curse of the Rune, which I ended up getting both copies because I
Beautiful.
wanted that, you know.
You
But
love
this
that.
is all Kyle Hotz.
Yeah.
So that's really fun and scary, you know. So really, really gross, you know. So it's fun. So I have Curse of Rune 2, Curse of Rune 3, which I want to say. Then I think this is over. And then Marvel then they have Black September. So then you have the Infinity Nothing cover. Way to go. Very,
So much.
very dumb, you know, really
it was
bad.
dumb.
Very dumb. Thank you for that. And then they had what, probably 20 books, and that's what was on the shelf. 0, nothing on the cover. Awesome.
Oh, bad. What a bad idea. And people like, oh, I gotta get them all.
But they lowered the prices. So the runes previously were $250. Marvel gets it. They kind of get rid of Malibu relatively quickly, but then everything went to $150, and the paper quality was a little bit less, but still good, you know. And I want to say, yeah. So this is all again. Kyle, that's Jason Moore, you know. And then I think there's 2 or 3 more issues of this. I don't remember seeing this. This is after this. This is a flip book. No, I don't remember ever seeing this. This is Heart of Darkness. But what's kind of crazy is this is 3 issues. It's like a mini series. And the back is James Felder and the Panda Brothers. So it's kind of weird. And so that the Panda Brothers, that's gross. Like, I mean, so like what's kind of cool about it is that they kind of always stayed in all the Rune artists were just messy. Everything's just messy.
Yeah.
So I love that, you know. I mean, this is pretty clean. Like that covers, that's wonderful. Like
it's a shame. There's such trades and hardcovers. Like Rune's a cool character. You tell me Rune doesn't show up in Avengers, that wouldn't be awesome.
Yeah, well, I think because basically this, and then this, and actually in this one, and I guess there was a contest. It was like it was featuring the winner of the Wizard Creative Villain contest. So like out of the issues, this villain went through 3 issues. So I guess someone owns that, you know.
Just like the charcoal character from Thunderbolt that some kid created.
Yeah, and what was
that was a created hero.
Created hero. What was the claw guy? Savage Dragon.
Oh, Savage Dragon, Jimbo the Mighty Lobster.
Yeah.
Oh, dude. You know what's funny? So the rumor is Larson thinks that kid might be dead. And obviously he'd be a 48-year-old man now. So because he tried to reach out to him, can't get in touch with him. All his fans have gone out there because people want that character to come back. Eric Larson ran a creative character contest, and Jimbo the Mighty Lobster won. He was a cool looking dude, but Eric Larson's afraid to use him. So,
right,
you know, when I did that Supreme story in Darkest Image #2, I ended it with like Jimbo the Mighty Lobster. He makes a cameo at the ending. I'm like, I'll use him because you're not going to sue me because nobody cares.
No one's buying that.
no one's buying.
That was a benefit book. Is that how that
Darkest
worked?
Image was a benefit book, unofficially, not through Image, but it helped out William Method Lobes, who has health issues.
Right.
It just gave a bunch of fans and amateurs and wannabes a chance to. We just all took Image characters and did stories. I did 2, almost did 3. One was the Supreme story where he fights Blood Wolf, and the story behind the other one's so dumb, but it's like I end up doing Lady Supreme versus Lady Blood Wolf, and I didn't mean to do it, but I kept like telling this artist, "Oh, we can do this." He goes, "Now, let's do this now." And then I jokingly was like, "How about Lady?" He's like, "Let's do a hot girl." And I'm like, "Well, it's Darkest Image. Let's do a follow up to Darker Image, which is Blood Wolf."
Right.
You know, we could set it in the future. It could be like Blood Wolf's daughter, which is legit. That's a real character, but she's like a baby. And I'm like,
okay,
Lady Blood Wolf. He's like, yes. I'm like, He goes, give me some story ideas. So I give him 3. And what's the rule of artists? You give them 3 ideas, what happens? They always choose the worst one.
Right.
And I'm like, you know what though? But you know what? I still spun it. I spun it into some silver. I don't know if it's gold, but I like it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Well, I
fun.
think it's out there. I mean, it's work. It's there.
The two stories mirror each other, and that's what's kind of neat.
Right.
And the
Right,
artist, and I like the artist a lot. He's I'm friendly with him, but he's like, let's do it sideways. I'm like, okay. He goes, I said we can make a sideways book. I mean, it's a big 300-page trade, so people gotta like hold up this 300-page trade sideways.
Right.
Um,
You sent me a PDF of that, right? Didn't you send me?
yeah, I think I did. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. He's
That's awesome.
entertainment. Get it?
Well, that's yeah, and I think DeLuca had something in there too. He did some portion of that, I believe, as well. So
Oh yeah,
there's a lot of people in that.
Buddy Pete. Yeah. Oh yeah. There's some really amazing artists in it. There's one artist I really like named I think it's Milo Trent. I don't know if it's Milo. I think it's Milo. And I really enjoy his style. He's definitely inspired by the kayfabe style of art, the Fife, Shully, Jim Rutter style. And he's a big Liefeld fan too, so it's neat to see his style interpret those characters.
Yeah, I think I only like kind of skimmed it. I should go back and read that this weekend.
You should. Fun. You know, just get a bookmark or read a story a day or something. Just make it like a thing.
Yeah, this
In fact, it's probably better that way. Most anthologies are probably better. Like read a story or two and then put it down.
Right, that's the way I've been doing the EC ones. I'll like kind of leave it and then I have it like bookmarked on like where I left off, like on the PDF of it or whatever it is. So this I didn't know. This is a Brayfogle, right?
Right. I
One
remember.
half, right? So pretty fun. But I don't remember this. I don't remember getting this when I was younger. And this takes place basically. I guess the issue with the one halves is that it does technically fall.
Yeah, they always count.
They do count, but this technically takes place after issue like 6 and 7. Like they don't tell you that in here. This is a continue next month at Prime. Well, I know this where this is supposed to be. You know what I mean? Like, but these are kind of a pain. Like, so I mean, it's cool. They got some sketchbook stuff in the back. But what is a kind of a pain is that like you have the envelope thing. It has the wizard. I have to like. I feel so geeky. Like I should just throw this in my collection, but I want the certificate. Like I have to keep it in the way that it is.
Keep it with the book. Yes.
Yeah, it's so dumb. Like but I will. Like it's like my OCD. I have to have it like this.
I think I would try to take newer backing boards and try to put it in that plastic. Maybe I would cut it some.
Yeah.
Trim it. So it's in a bag. So it's in a board technically. So and then I would put the gift certificate. Dude, the certificate with it.
It's so funny. Like it's so funny, like how much Rune is around. So check it out. So I'm literally just looking at this like Prime annual, right? Which it's a Boris Vallejo cover.
They spent some money on it.
It should really be like a square bound.
It should be
$4, but they have a spin. They have a spin. You know, Tori Amos ad, and guess what is in that spin issue? It's a special edition, mass market edition. Has Rune the Dark God like an insert comic in there, which I mean Rune is just everywhere.
And you get Barry Windsor Smith. I mean, you're talking fresh off of Weapon X.
Yeah.
Fresh off doing his Solar stuff and his Eternal Warrior stuff, right?
But like, oh my God! But see, this is so fun too. So this book is 64 pages. You have like the initial sketches, you know, which I've never seen.
That over towards just a little bit more. Let me see that. Okay.
Oh yeah.
There we go.
I'm going.
You're gone. Neat.
Look at that cape. He doesn't do that cape, right? So like that's what's no, I don't think so. But yeah, but like look, yeah. I mean, oh my God, like come on, man. Like I didn't know this. So yeah. So this is kind of the extra stuff that like you don't know.
And that's in the annual.
Yeah. Look, and you got like you can pull the poster out. Ooh, you know, $3.95, and then it's 2 full. I don't know how many story pages it is, but it's Brayfogle all the way through, completely.
That's phenomenal.
Look at that.
Did he do that with the monthly, or did he take a break from the monthly to do that?
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying like there's so much. Here's one that I've never seen, and I don't know if you could tell me where this was. Prime Hulk versus Hulk. This was a mail away, maybe?
I feel like that was a mail away. The first one was the Hulk Venom mail away. I think that was the follow-up one. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is John Peter David plotting assist. Drzinski, Gerard Jones canceled.
Yeah.
John Statima, Bob Smith. Pretty good. Looks pretty fun, you know. But yeah, I guess and then yeah, okay, that's right. I think I remember something like this because I remember there's
Yeah.
Kevin West doing backup. Kevin West who took over for Valentino at the end of
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, look at this. Look at this. I didn't know this. Look, there's a Brian Hitch pinup.
That's awesome.
Woo. This is Brian Hitch's it's Brian Hitch's post Death's Head ongoing pre Authority style. So it's like his
Right.
Alan Davis style.
Post
She-Hulk.
X-Men Prime and post what if Wolverine stayed with Alpha Flight?
Yeah, that one was cleaner. That was more UK style.
Yeah,
yeah, and then it was X-Men Prime, which I think I do have as well. Yeah. So this we talked about the Birthquake. Here you go. You're right. This is Birthquake. Birthquake. Look. Ooh. Is this how they spelled it?
Did they? Rough.
There's no.
Yeah.
Quake. I guess that is right.
No,
right?
that's correct.
It looks wrong.
It looks weird.
It looks wrong.
It looks like
you don't see it like that. It's like I feel like they're putting like there's no space, so I'm thinking that they're putting Q as birthquake, like birthquake. But I guess what I'm thinking of. So this is the second issue. I really wanted the first issue because the first issue it has like Bloodshot like going crazy. He's like crazy on the cover. He looks crazy.
He's awesome looking. Yeah, he's like
So that was all in all the ads, but this is Ray Fogel and then Van Hook Studios. We just talked about Kevin Van Hook. Oh, and you can tell there's some kind of rough like computer coloring here on the end here. Right there.
Oh yeah, what is that?
Yikes. So little funky, but again, and who wrote this? Tony. Who was this? Kevin Van Hook. Van Hook. We're all about Kevin Van Hook. So we didn't mean to, but later on he does a better job with the coloring. The coloring here at the end that's perfect. I don't know if I like these letters, but whatever. But yeah, then you got the Dan Jurgens ad. Dan Jurgens, new skin on Solar. Ain't that super? Get it? You got it? And then, right here, so this is coming out in Valiant. And then you have the Norm Brave Fogel ad for Metaphysique coming out. Interesting. Yeah, it's interesting. Like, that's what I was looking. So what's cool if you go on GCD, Great Comics Database, you can see that a lot of this stuff kind of goes back and forth. It's kind of neat. And then they'll be asked to do a fill-in for like Shadow of the Bat. He did issue like 50, he did 8 pages, 75, he did like 5 pages. So it's like, oh. And then throughout all this, he's painting the birth of the demon. So that comes out right around here, right after this too. So that I have not seen. I've seen it around once in a while. It's not around. So that might be something I would maybe spend a little bit of money on. The next set I had, so I'm still in this Malibu space here. So what I did was, I know I have the first one of this, so I ended up getting the God Wheel stuff because everyone's in this. So the first one I know is in my Joe Madureira section.
Got some Gary Frank in there. You got
so here where this would have to go in the Gary Frank section. So you got Gary Frank in interiors here. Flip book, Aaron Lopresti, Gary Frank also on the flip book. This is who do you think did this? I think the other cover breaks it open. Who worked on this one? Do you remember?
I feel like there was there Pacella in one of those? Was it?
Pacella does some of it.
Ringo?
Yeah, Ringo. So yeah, Mike Waringo doing some stuff in here, which again, really tight, really fun. So this was their way to fall into the Marvel universe, and it was kind of given away.
Do we not know that? Yeah, I'm trying to remember if I did not know. Was it a surprise because Thor shows up?
Yeah, Thor's in the corner box is on. I don't think he was in the corner box of Zero. And then yeah, there's Thor with a Perez Thor.
Right. But he shows up in the issue first, right?
Yeah, he shows up in issue like 2. There's Joe Madureira again. So you got Joe Madureira, Necromantra. So Joe Mad. This is 95, so this would be Excalibur-ish time. Does that sound right? This looks really.
Oh,
89.
give me a second. Wasn't Age of Apocalypse beginning of 95?
I don't know. Challenge to team it back up, and then George Perez literally doing the last story in here.
Oh, neat.
That's really fun. That looks good. Which kind of goes right into the next book, which is their Breakthrough, which is their 2-issue crisis-y kind of book.
Right.
All Perez, which I've never read actually. I don't know if I would understand it. Because this I feel like it's super continuity. It's so fun. Maybe it's just the way it is. Like, because there's so many characters together. It's just like it's just him doing Crisis. I'm doing Crisis again.
Yeah.
And then this was in there too. And I want to say there was 2 of these, but this is the one that Perez.
That's a hell of a PACO rabbit hole. Like, let's do Malibu.
This is the Perez.
Is that the
Avengers
for one of them?
Ultra Force. Yeah, this is Warno, story and dialogue, and George Perez, artist and storyteller. Paul Neary and Art T Bear inks. Ooh, additional inks. Ken Branch, Dennis Jensen, Carl Kessel, George Perez, Robin Riggs, Johnson Team, Al Vance. A lot of inkers.
A lot of inkers, dude.
A lot of inkers. So that's going to be.
That's a many hands situation.
Look at this. So then this ends, right? And this is in my Stephen Butler section. So when this ends, this is the new Ultra Force Volume 2, and that's the Stephen Butler. So I have that too. So yeah, I wonder, it probably wouldn't be that hard. I have a complete Firearm series because that was James Robinson. You can go on YouTube and watch Firearm Zero, which was the VHS. Yeah, that's on YouTube now. I know you can watch that.
That was sitting at Temdi, the comic store, for so long. It was just sitting there collecting dust.
Yeah, that was the time when things. There's a lot. I have a lot of the gimmick Malibu books over there. I have the Gunshot one, which they should have really. They should have incorporated the whole in the book, other than just the last page of that book. Like, you know what I mean?
Shannon Wheeler was complaining that they ripped him off because he went and took like one of his early comics, but he didn't print a bullet hole. They went and shot his comics before they sold them.
Right. And it had that's right, because it had like residue on it. Like it was literal like gun residue.
Yeah. And he was like, these protectors, Malibu ripped me off. I'm like, it's a different thing. What a shitty move though on protectors. Like, if you had a bullet hole through the cover, awesome.
Right.
Let's do the whole comic, and you didn't do anything special. It was just there in the middle.
Only in the last page, the last splash page. That's it. So I feel like I got this next book for you. I got it for me, but I never had this. But this is such a good looking book, right? This is
right.
So this is Marv Wolfman, Jerry Ordway, like almost like a standalone, like just. But oh my God, like this is kind of like a super perfect. It's like some of that this era Jerry Ordway 87 is it 87 is ridiculous. Like this is so good. This is coming out of Legends.
They got him on Superman, like with John Byrne, like just to like he was the best guy. He was arguably better than John Byrne. John Byrne stuff's so neat though. His Superman stuff is so gorgeous.
Well, 2 things here. First, like that, there's almost like a different costume, like a gladiator costume here. Yeah. But this is probably in like the like Legends of the Dark Knight, like the Alan Davis special. But this is a house ad for that issue. That's not that issue. That is not.
Think so now.
No way. Like it's no way. So that's
make a note of that, Mark.
Oh. It's got Elongated Man in it. Yeah, so really fun.
Make a note of that ad.
Yeah, dude, look at this costume. What, he's just hanging out? I got to get the next issue. Look at this. I'm just going to hang out with Darkseid.
Just chilling.
What's going on here? What's going on here? Face to face with Darkseid.
It's funny because we came into comics around Crisis, post-Crisis. So that's always been the Superman of our as collectors. And we've gone back and read so much of Superman pre-Crisis.
Mhm.
But like, how did it feel for those guys who were collecting Superman before Crisis? Like, did it kill them that John Byrne rebooted it, or was it just welcome? Because
I don't know.
you had years of Marty Pascal and Elliot S. Maggin and
Right.
Harry Bates doing these incredible Superman stories. And then you finalize it with the Kurt Swan song of Alan Moore's "Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow,"
Kurt Swan song.
and then you get John Byrne. Like when New 52 happened, I couldn't joke it. I couldn't joke it down. It was like, this isn't Superman.
Oh,
I
yeah.
tried. I tried so hard, but he looked
Because
like
had-
Cornell, the stupid hair, the collar,
had Morrison. Morrison had the
jeans,
Mhm.
and a t-shirt.
So both versions of Superman we didn't like it, and that was a George Perez Superman with the collar,
Yeah,
right?
But I don't blame George Perez because he didn't design that costume. Jim Lee's costumes only look good when Jim Lee draws them, for the most part.
Right.
And George Perez, I think he had trouble getting stories written because they kept changing what they wanted to do.
He leaves. Yeah, I want to say he leaves pretty early. Like he leaves at issue 5 or 6. He's gone.
I don't think my two favorite Grant Morrison issues of that run are like the one on Krypton, I think drawn by Gene Ha. It's like amazing looking.
Mhm.
And when they introduced President Superman.
Right.
That was part of that storyline. Those are great issues.
Yeah, that's worth money, right? Because that character still kind of was around for a while.
Yeah, he was around prior, right?
Yeah.
So like
topical.
They felt like new issues of All-Star Superman, and the rest of the storyline kind of didn't. I don't know.
Right.
I'm not trying to shit on it because I love Grant Morrison most of the time.
Most of the time. Yeah, it's tough. So this, I almost got so funny. You were talking about Richard Donner earlier. I have a couple issues, but I didn't know which ones I had. I know I have some Adam Kubert Action Comics. I know, or Superman, whatever he did with I think it was Action Comics.
Yeah,
I have those.
It was Action.
And I know I have a couple of them, so I ended up not getting them. I mean, I think they had the ones I didn't have, so I was a little mad I didn't pick them up, but they might still be there. But I know I picked up some of the PACO run previously.
Oh, okay.
And this is like, and I think it's because the Superman movie's coming out. This is such good Superman. Like this is, and wasn't that somebody? Didn't that become somebody or something? Subject 17. I feel like that became something. But yeah, something about there's a couple things. There's a couple like, his Superman just ridiculous. This isn't the beginning. This might be close to the beginning. This is the first issue. Yeah, it could be. Trying to see like one of his like first Superman. Yeah, and then again, every issue pretty much they had every issue consistent. This is really good. And then this cover is fantastic. That's a PACO. And rest in peace again, that
it's killer how many people we keep losing,
Yeah, and I guess
super nice guy. I met him only once down at Heroes Con down in Charlotte. And he was doing commissions, and I was having a really good weekend. I got a commission by Art Adams and Mike Maringo. I was just knocking them out. And I go to PACO, and PACO's like, "What would you like?" And I'm like, "Oh, the Wasp." He had done Avengers Forever and drew a gorgeous Wasp. So I'm like, "Yeah, draw me the Wasp." And he takes the book and he draws a dot. He goes, "Haha, here's your Wasp." He goes, "I draw you something different." And he just drew me a head sketch of Oliver Queen. And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm not going to argue. That's a gorgeous Oliver Queen." But a funny guy, nice guy.
That's cool, man. Yeah. So and he did maybe about 14, 15 issues or so. And then Jesus Marino, his inker, ended up doing a good amount of books as well.
Yeah. I didn't like Jesus Marino at first because I think he was the first inker of PACO after Art T-Bear. And I just loved that Art T-Bear PACO look. Like it was very sharp, very dynamic. But I knew that Jesus Marino was just a different style of inker, very more organic.
Yeah, so it's nice. I think I'm pretty sure. So now I believe I have, maybe I might be missing one, but I'm pretty sure I have a whole PACO Busiek run on that. I'm pretty sure I got all those. I know I have one of the anniversary issues. I know I picked that up. That's for sure. This I only got just because it was $1, and I think this was like the reintroduction of the Creature Commandos. So that's probably worth okay money, like where it is right now.
Yeah, it might be.
Because this is the Pete Woods. So that's fun, so that was kind of fun that I grabbed that. That's Pete Woods, Jeff Johns. This I got because it's essentially a romance comic, and I don't think you can pretty much get 1 to almost 50 in dollar bins for the most part. There's no issue of this. It's kind of hard to get per se.
Was it Death of Superboy in that run?
Maybe, yeah. But this is Colleen Duran and Al Gordon. So they actually do a slightly different art style, like towards the middle of it.
Yeah,
so that's pretty fun. But it's all layouts. It's all Keith Kevin layouts too.
Yeah, I think Death of Superboy is like 37, something like that, 38. I think they pop, but the rest of the series, yeah, they're dollar books.
Yeah, you can get everything for $1.
Not in an insulting way, just
It's kind of, I only got this because it's kind of like the only Bronze Age book I found, and it's always good to grab like an
always fun
Ghost Rider. That I never had that run. This is an Infantino Tom Sutton. So like even just looking at that, like looking at like how I don't know where the cross of this is, of like how this works.
Yeah, put it in front of you, but don't cover your face.
Oh, okay, there you go. Yeah. So, but yeah, just really, really insane. And that covers Bob Budiansky. This is from 1980. May 1980. This I got because it's a Stephen Butler, and Stephen Butler came back. So Stephen Butler was in it, and then he did layouts, and then it went to what's somebody like, not MC Wyman, but almost, but then Stephen Butler ends up coming back. So this run in general is pretty fun. This whole run's good. This whole run's like really fun. I don't
know what happened when Liefeld brought in his. Remember when Cable had his team in X-Force 8? It was Grizzly and Hammer and Garrison Kane. They were called the Wild Pack. And then that book happened, and they called Silver Sable the Wild Pack. So I guess they Liefeld's not here anymore. We don't care. I don't know if they stole the name from him or it's just a common name. It's Wild Pack. It's literally a DC character. So I think like somewhere in Cable, they're drinking beer and like, oh, let's call ourselves the 6-pack. I'm like, all right. And
that's right. Right. Yeah, look at that. Nick Fury is a good one. But here's the weird thing with this too, is I'm pretty sure there's a press poster for this. There's a couple characters in the press poster, or there was promotional art for this, and those characters were never in this. Like I want to say somebody else was in this. There's Sandman's in it, but I want to say there was like an extra character that was supposed to be in it, and they were never in this comic ever.
Do you think Silver Sable only got popular because McFarlane drew it?
The one McFarlane issue? Yes, I think so. Yeah, because that's the only time I cared about it. Yeah. I didn't know who she was. And then that's the power of that.
Thing with Solo, Solo got a series because McFarlane drew him.
Right. Well, who created Solo?
Well, it was supposed to be McFarlane and Michelini, but like Larson ended up drawing him first because Larson did a fill-in issue that had Solo first appear. But I think McFarlane was already working on the following issue.
See, that's what I'm saying. Why didn't Solo 3 come out this week instead of Venom 3?
Yeah, right.
If McFarlane was so involved in the character creation of Solo,
dude, I would take weren't they going to do a Silver Sable Black Cat movie, like Black and Silver or something?
Yeah.
Silver Sable is considered a Spider-Man character. So Sony owns the rights to Silver Sable, and they were going to do that movie, and I guess they decided not to.
Yeah, I don't want that movie. I don't know. See, this will always work for me because because Sandman was it. Sandman was great in this.
Yeah,
it was great.
William Baker Sandman.
And who wrote this? You even know who wrote this? This is your guy. One of your guys.
Greg Wright.
Greg Wright. Yeah. Wrote every issue, I believe. I think he wrote everything.
I just became friends with him on Facebook. I'm like, he always pops up, has the cool stories. Let me just befriend this guy.
So these were fun. You know what was cool? So here's some X-Force Pacella issues, right?
Right.
But what's crazy about these is like, I don't know if you felt this way. This was almost because it was a little sloppier, it felt like it was going to be easier to either trace. I feel like I felt like I could draw like this, you know?
Mark, if you had told me this conversation, I would have brought out my cable drawing I have because I looked. He drew cable. There's a 1-page pinup of cable, and I'm like, that is the coolest, meanest looking picture of cable the whole Liefeld. And I drew it, and you are 100% right. He made it seem like art was doable. It might be the end. It might be the back of 13. It's one of the last pages.
Yeah. I think I know what you're talking about.
It's just his
There's
arms
13.
are huge circles, like boulders of muscles. And I drew it. And it's actually a pretty good drawing. It's very ugly in that Pacella ugly good style. Too funny you said that, dude.
Look at this. Look at how insane this is.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you got to figure. So this is. But Pacella had a bit of a career. Pacella did some Conan books. Actually, he did Elric as well. Michael T. Gilbert colored it. But like here, and this is it. That's the Wild Pack, right? That's that technically
That's
is a
the
Wild Pack.
new.
Not
I think that's the new
pack.
weapon. I think they call themselves like Weapon Omega.
Weapon Prime.
Like Weapon Prime. 2 of the pages, dude.
I guess this was. You can put them together if you have your X-Force 13.
Yes, you can. That's what I was just going to try to tell you.
And then you can put it. I mean, it's a little.
Yeah, because they're colored probably by different people or color different months.
Right.
You know.
But everybody's naked. Everybody's naked. They're like, what are you guys doing? What are you guys doing? It's the middle of the day.
Or like on Venice Beach. They're fighting on Venice Beach.
This is Chris Eliopoulos. A lot of fun. This looks very Chris Eliopoulos doing a bit more of his is it this?
No, but I like that one a lot too. That has
I like that. Yeah.
Hardcore Vermita feel.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So this is kind of funny because this is so big.
Yeah.
Like this is so big on page, you know? And why didn't Pacella go over there? I guess that's confusing too.
This is the way Wolverine Revenge should look.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because there's action, number one, in it. What's Mark Pacella doing?
I don't know.
And look at this.
I think it's Hollywood stuff.
Like this stuff, like this is kind of like the stuff that Brian Murray was doing for Liefeld. Like that stuff, you know? So this looks, but see, this is what you want. Like if you want someone to come in after, you know, oh, look how bad this page is. You know what this looks like? This almost looks like the parody. It almost looks like Doom Force Special. Right. With Shasta the Living Mountain exploding. Yeah, so that's fun. So I'm pretty close to one. I think I have almost 1 to 25 of X-Force at this point. All dollars basically. I mean, I had one. I have one cable card polybag. Then I have a second print gold for my X-Force 1, and I want to say I have a cable reprint, which is what, 98, 99, 100.
Is that the Mega Force Mega?
Yeah.
Mega
book. I think that's right. This I got because this is not collected, right?
Yes.
This is not collected because this is all
Wildstorm. It's an amalgam, kind of Wildstorm and Marvel. And it runs through all the issue 13s. Yeah, that's Ringo. Yeah, beautiful Ringo. God, he's a sad one.
Yeah.
I love Mike Ringo. Not only was like the nicest guy, but just such a good artist.
Ooh,
Bill Grover, a friend of ours.
Oh yeah,
having a ponytail for the past 30 years, long blonde.
We just missed him. He was at Ots.
He owns every page of original art from Flash #0, except the cover.
That's fun. That's a fun one. All right, here we go. Winding down. Last four. Sabretooth 4. Mark Texiera. I have had 1 to 3. 4, not that around. Not around. That is not. Don't know why. Maybe it was a printing situation.
Text from Punisher to Ghost Rider to Wolverine to Sabretooth to Union.
He did Union. There was a recent interview. He did Union before Sabretooth, right?
Right. Yeah.
I guess the only thing that with this is who colored this. It's just it seems it's like washed out a little bit.
Yeah, that's not cool.
You know, the final chapter.
Is that glossy paper?
Yeah.
I feel like it shouldn't be on glossy paper.
Steve Bucoletto. Well, we saw some good Steve Bucoletto in the early X-Force stuff. So again, that's a completionist thing. I have 1, 2, 3, but one and 2 look so much better than this is 4. Doesn't look that great, but still really fun. Again, still filling in the X-Force. This is the Capullo era.
Oh, good.
Really good, direct, perfect copy. Yeah, perfect. Harry Canda de Laurello, Javin's Bucoletto here. Colors with Blood. Reed Javins, this is editor-in-chief of DC Comics. This is a little more experimental. This is later. This is 21. This is before Richard Bennett came in. But I remember this. You remember that? So that's
Nope. Hold it in front of you. Show your head. Right. Hold it in front of your body. Perfect.
So that's what's her name? That's Copycat, right?
Yes. Copycat. So, Vanessa.
Which they forgot to do. They forgot to do that in Deadpool movies. They kind of get rid of it. Oh, Deadpool, that's right. Deadpool popping at the end here. You know, I love his Deadpool. I think Capullo's Deadpool is great. Not that much different than he's drawing him right now, which is actually kind of interesting because it's like this is 30 years ago. Yeah, 93. So almost 30 years ago. I have one other of this, and I think I have one. I think I have. So, but grab the dragon
Good.
fiber, 99 cents. I could probably find all of them. Yes. I think I have 2. I think I have 1. I think I have 3 and 4.
What this series is, Eric Larson did Savage Dragon 1 through 3 for Image Comics. He did a trade where he added a bunch of extra pages into it. And then he took that trade, added more pages into it, and split it up into 5 issues. That is the story. This is a new page to your...
This one. No.
The other side is a new page to fill in this spot. The page to the right is the story from Image Zero.
Right.
The famous mail away Image Zero.
Right.
Great.
Which was a sad one.
It's a rough one. So he took the 3-issue miniseries, all the additional material, the material from Image Zero, the material from Operation Urban Storm, a benefit book that never ended up coming out, but he had finished his story for it. And he made it a 5-issue miniseries out of it, gave it new covers, and charged 99 cents. So that is all an awesome deal.
And then in here is, I guess, his like mini.
Angel Field Quake was drawn for a guy who was doing mini comics, and which the book never came out. But he had photocopies of it. But since then, the guy passed, and his wife found the art, sent it to Larson. So he rescanned the original art and colored it in his retro style and put it into the back of Dragon.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's 1984. So that's pretty interesting. So that's
post Megaton, pre DNA Agents.
It's 40 years ago. Yeah, I have some DNA Agents over there. So yeah, pretty cool. Perfect copy. Perfect. Never read. So this I picked up, and this I thought this could be worth some money, but I think this is kind of interesting because this is Barbed Wire Halo Studios. And do you know who Barbed Wire Halo Studios is? Barbed Wire Halo Studios.
I do not.
It's James O'Barr, basically.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So this is
horrible studio name.
Caliber presents 3, and I want to say like 4 is 4, like the Crow or something. Like I know it's like right here.
The actual number.
Yeah, it's like right here though. So I was like, is this the first of the Crow?
As much as I enjoyed the Crow movie as a teenager, almost adult, I didn't really read the comics. I'm like, that's just not for me.
You should. It's great.
It probably is. I probably should have read it.
Great.
You know this? I just wasn't one of those goth kids, which is a horrible way to call it.
Yeah, this is this Barbed Wire Studio. Yeah, it's crazy. But you can see it. Like you can definitely see, like that stuff in here. So yeah, it's kind of nuts. And yeah, it's a James O'Barr cover. but yeah, it's so close to this. Like it's so close. And I'm like, oh man, how is this in here? And this is perfect. This is a perfect copy.
Yeah, it's really nice.
So that was kind of the last. I was like, oh boy, wow.
That's
And
neat.
then in the back you have like, so you have 1, 2, 3, 4. You have 6 stories. Jim Califor does a preview in the back. It's page 35. Let me see what that is. Oh, and it's like a really early Jim's Califorco. It's really, God, it doesn't look like that at all. Yeah, it's weird. You can see a little bit of it. You can see a little bit of a Jim Califor with the face a little bit here, over here. But yeah, you have
very
Randy.
recognizable faces.
Oh, Guy Davis does a story in here too. Holy crap!
Well, that's neat.
Tim Tyler, Tim Vigil art on the second story, and Tim Tyler inks. I'm trying to see if I can find the Guy Davis, the Realm. Whoa, yeah, this doesn't look like Guy Davis like at all. It's like all fantasy. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's weird. It's neat.
So everything was $1, including the Conan, which is kind of got. But that, again, it's so weird when you get excited for something. So I'm going out. I'm like, I'll go grab. I've seen Conans all the time. $1 books.
Right.
I can go get 100 issues today.
When
Zero.
you got your batch of them in Baltimore, I'm like, oh, cool. He's on to something. But you know what? Everyone else
can't get any more. Yeah, I can't get any more now. It's over.
That's bad timing.
Now that being said, is it this weekend is Welcome Back in Swedesboro?
Our buddy Rich Masso has his store / con. I think it's him and somebody else. I don't know who the other person is. Be funny if it was
Tim. It's usually Tim Quixel. Yeah, so it's
or Tim.
Yeah, and then Connor will probably be there too. He helps Tim out. Connor, who works at Panther, who has this. He also has like a crazy collection. He kind of skims the. I mean, listen, he works at Panther. Panther gets a bunch of books. He skims through the dollars. Whatever, he's allowed. He works there. That's the rule. But he has a pretty big. I don't know how big his collection is, man. But when I see him, he's taking boxes. When Bill runs a Chud or something like that, he grabs a lot of stuff. So I would imagine he would eventually get a store. That little kid.
Yeah,
he's a good little guy.
I used to hate there was a kid who worked at Comic Crypt in Oakland. I won't say his name, but like we would go there and like, hey, you got this variant? He's like, yeah, I'm selling it on eBay. I'm like, I know you work at the store, but you're not the owner of the store. So it's kind of, are you selling it for eBay for yourself? He was, by the way. He wasn't selling it for like, Comic Crypt didn't have an eBay store at the time. But I just remember like, that's kind of shitty. You're not the owner, you know?
Yeah. I mean, and I haven't been to Panther in a little while, but that's where I got my tour, like 1 to 6, the heavy hitters. I got them for $1. Like, nice. So they have a lot.
Who were drawn by Joe Kubert, by the way. I like to fill in everyone on everything. And it was magazine size, right?
Yeah. And it was thick though. It was the cardstock covers, like it was heavy. I think they were probably even at that time, I think they were $4 or $5.95. So, but again, to go back to the experience, there is that comic guy was going and then someone else picked up their books and he's like, oh, I made sure you got this other cover. I know you wanted this other cover, and he looked at artist. So I was hearing things that the comic guy was giving the other guys, and he's like, did I get this last week? And he looked and he's like, well, that cover didn't come in last week, so we just wanted to see if you guys, like, oh, I already read it. Okay, that's fine. Can I put this back? So it was all courteous. It was like, yeah, okay, this is cover B. I got it this week. I threw it in there. I think it might have been like Hell in a Windhorn or whatever. And he's like, I threw that in there. I didn't know which one you wanted. I didn't know if you got it last week. So I was like, oh, I like this comic guy. You know what I mean? Like, because it was kind of reminded us of of the way we would do it. I would throw something in like Steve Rosario's box. I'm like, hey, this other thing came in. You know, you like this. And he was like, I do like that. You know what I mean? So
that's cool.
But the engagement was there that you could say, like, you don't have to buy it. Like, but you might have gotten this. So it was really cool. And I do like that. It's just a division of. And I thought it was kind of funny too, because the one guy, the comic guy, said he was going to leave. It was like 8. It was like close to 8. He's like, yeah, I'm kind of done my shift, but I'm going to go. And he's like, Ron doesn't care. And he's like, but I'll probably still be here. So I'm done work. Okay.
That's the thing about comic stores, man. It's hard to leave.
This guy's closing. the magic guy's closing. He's got the red. He's going to close out.
Right.
I'm going to go. Ron will just be there until it's over. And then he's like, but I'm probably just going to still be here. And I'm like, I got you, but I know. So like just kind of being in those shops for like having two really good experiences in the shops, listening to other people, listen to the engagement. Like it's, I want to be very pro and I'm excited to kind of get I'm gonna have to go that rich thing Saturday.
We'll talk.
The only reason I'm stressing out about that is because guess what? I now have to kind of keep going through boxes and it's not easy to go through because it's not as if I'm going through like if I grab like my Magnolia, well, I already did my Magnolia stack, but if I grab something like I have to go through the Grand Comic database and go through and see like how I wanted to fill it in.
Yeah.
What do I go after? You know what I found? You know what I need to see if I could find? This was something that I was the deep dive that I couldn't find it. There's I was doing the Kelly Jones list. There's a Mark Spector Moon Knight Infinity War crossover issue that Kelly Jones does 3 pages. Who else? I'm trying to think who else does a bunch of pages in it. But yeah, I think Scott McDaniel might do some pages, but I'll have to send to you. It's on the Marvel app. I looked it up. I'm like, what the heck is this? But it's all Batman artists. And maybe Mike Manley, maybe Mike Manley did the main book, but they're all goofing on Batman. They're all variants. They're all like Xfinity. They're all Infinity War.
Okay, yeah. No, I vaguely remember that.
And it was called Multiverse like Madness or something like that too. And I was like, whoa, wait a second, like that I don't know. It's because back then, see, right now, multiverses we all think of that now, right. But that was one of the earliest probably mentions of that in the Moon Knight book. So they have a bunch of variant versions, and they're all goofy Batman versions. They do it. Oh, you know who does it? Ty Templeton does it 3 or 4 pages, right? So he does like a Dick Sprang version of Moon Knight. Like again, I got to find this. It's on the Marvel Lab.
I know. I the more you said it, I'm like, I totally remember it.
Yeah, but like
he doesn't get enough credit,
right? And then Carl Kessel is mentioned, but it doesn't really give who does what, whether Carl Kessel drew it or inked Todd Templeton or vice versa or whatever.
That's kind of likely, but
yeah. But that's really fun. Like that was like, what? Like how do I not know that? It's kind of like the Rorschach issue of Question. You know what I mean? They just have an issue where he knows about Rorschach and then Rorschach's like in it. So yeah, so it's very meta. But yeah, that's one that I'll see if I can find. The one good thing with Rich is that when Rich does it, he has usually but those shows are tough too though, man, because you're just packed into this hotel ballroom.
A lot of people.
It's a lot of people. And if you try to get to a box, sometimes we're most of the time pretty courteous, but those are pretty tight. Not like Chud tight, but like it's pretty tough. So how do I get in there and how do I get to see, right away? You know what I mean? And then Tim's boxes are not organized, so
they're a full adventure.
Yeah, so I got to
I feel like Tim has a very disheveled house.
Sure. Oh yeah.
I mean, not as bad as Dark Boywood's. Dark Boywood's is a hoarder mess.
I'm sure, but so yeah, so I'm only stressing about that because now I have to kind of go through and see what other stuff I want to like try to focus on.
It'll be the worst. You go through a box, and then you see somebody else going through a box, and then they put their stuff back, but you've already been through that box, and you're like, no, I already went through that box. Don't put more stuff in it.
There's a couple guys. It's so funny. I remember being at a show that it was just a small show. It was in Wildwood when I was on vacation a couple of years ago. And me and my then girlfriend at the time, she's like, "Why are you eyeing that guy down?" And I was like, "Because he beats me to these." There's only like it was a sports card show, so there was like 3 comic dealers, and every time I went, he had something like up, and I would be like, "Are you buying that?" It was a Batman Year One hardcover. Might have been first or second edition or something, and it was like $15. And I was like, fuck. And I was like, you buying that? He's like, oh yeah. And I'm like, oh. And then I was like, okay, you sure? Like, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
it's
pretty sure.
but like he beat me to a couple things. And then there was also like I never saw it before. There was a longbow hunters, but he put it back. I ended up getting it. It was a longbow
Okay.
hunters trade because the cover was different. There was some other stuff in it that I've never seen before, which was Mike Grell. But he put it back, and that was $5. I was like, oh, $5. Like give me that. Like give me that. So we'll see. Yeah, but from Rich actually helped me out the one time I wrote to him. I think I wrote to him on Facebook because he did he does like a walk around of stuff. Here's stuff that's going to be at the show. And the one show I was like, can you bring that really terrible version of Silver Surfer, the Fireside, because it's like from a library. It looks like it's burnt.
Oh yeah.
And he's like, I should just give this to you. He's like, $5. I'm like, great. You know what I mean? But I wanted it because the one I had, which is a better copy, had water damage in it. So it was like, oh, I want this other version of it. And it has the library like wrap on it too. So I was like,
Yeah.
cool. So yeah, I have like 4 versions of that Silver Surfer book that is not in print. So anyway, I think that's it. So next
That's
week,
good.
probably next week's deep dive. Yeah, you got to see if you're
Maybe a little.
allowed, if you're going to go to that show. But
Yeah.
I don't know what you're going to get. See, I got a lot of
You're all
stuff.
over the place. So I'm very specific. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Something jumps
Yeah.
out at me.
Yeah. We'll do another show.
Yeah, that was good.
We'll
Nice,
wrap it
nice
up.
short.
So this is we're recording
2 hour.
this. So when this posts, maybe there'll be another Who's President. We don't know.
We don't know.
Right now, this is coming out Thursday. I'm not predicting nothing. We'll see.
You know what? Let's go with this. Let's hope I can avoid more absolute Superman spoilers. That's my hope. It'll be Thursday. So by Thursday, I'll have read the book. But I've been dodging it left and right. Like
that's right.
Go on. They're like, here's a picture. I'm like, no,
there's something. Don't go on Bleeding Cool because Bleeding Cool has an article about the Batman for tomorrow, and it says and it has something in, and it shows a tiny bit of the panel, and I can see what the spoiler is. So don't go on Bleeding Cool. Yeah, I'm going to avoid it. I wonder. Yeah, I'll see what time I gotta go vote in the morning. Gotta figure out when I'm still reading Batman. When am I reading Batman? You know what I mean? Like, so
it's not Wednesday yet. We still got.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, because I wish DC books were on Tuesday. That's what I was used to. That I like that.
Yeah.
So anyway,
all right, man. We have a good night.
Yeah.
Everyone check us out on Awestruck Comics.
Instagram. I don't know. Yeah, I have an Instagram. I just haven't. I gotta set that up, and I have to do an audio on this as well. So deep dive Thursdays, everybody. We'll see you. See you next Sunday. Next Sunday for news. Comic news. Comic news Sundays. Tuesday reviews. Thursday is a big mess of a deep dive and a show and tell.
Right.
All right, y'all. I'll see you
next time.